In the last talk through, we learned how to make an object type to represent our two Winston-like objects, and then initialize them with the constructors. Now, an object type doesn't just have to be associated with properties. It can also be associated with functionality. Think about the world and all the object types in it. Like us humans, we all have height and age, but we also have things we can do like sleep and eat and program. And we want to be able to associate those functions with those object types. In this program, which is just where we left off from last time, we have a function here, drawWinston, that we call on both Winston objects. Wouldn't it be neat if we could just attach that to the Winston object type? Well, we can, and it's easy to do. So underneath our constructor, we're going to write Winston, capital W, dot prototype. And the prototype, that's a new word that you probably haven't seen before. And the prototype is this property of an object that we can attach functions to, and it will mean that every object that's an instance of that will then have those functions on them. So we can say dot prototype and then dot, and then the function name, so we say draw equals, and then we can go and take our drawWinston code and we can just move it inside here. All right, so now what we've done here is we've attached a draw function to our Winston prototype. And that means that we should be able to call draw on any Winston type object, right? So we should be able to call draw on Winston teen or Winston adult. And when we have a function like this that we can call on an object, we actually call that a method. So you might hear me say method now. So we'll say this is the draw method. Okay. So now we'll delete this and we delete this, and now we're going to see, can we call draw? Winston_teen.draw. Okay, we have an error. We've had this error sticking out here. So it says Winst object is not defined. Okay, so before we were passing this argument into drawWinston, which was the Winston object, but now we're not passing it anymore. So we could change this to pass it, and then let's see, what would we pass here? We'd have to pass Winston teen. Okay, that worked, but that seems also really silly. I'm already calling draw on the object itself. I shouldn't have to pass in the object as well. That seems redundant. And that's true, we shouldn't have to do that. So let's delete this here. And now let's think, if we're inside the object, what could we use to access the properties of the object? Well, you might look up at our constructor and remember that special keyword this and think, oh, what if we just change this to this? So we change Winst object to this because we're inside the object right now. This function is being evaluated on the object so that this will refer to that current object. And so that way we can just say this and we'll get access to all the properties of this current object. And that totally worked, see? Isn't that cool? So now we can then say Winston adult.draw. Ta-da! And it will access the properties of Winston adult because that's the object it's being called on. So that's what's really cool about this keyword, even though it can be kind of confusing to say sometimes. All right, so that was a lot of fun. So let's add another method. Okay, so what else might Winston do? Maybe he'll talk. So we'll make a Winston.prototype.talk. So we can attach as many methods as we want to the prototype. So we'll say, I'm Winston. And then we'll just say this dot x plus 20 and this dot y plus 150. And then nothing happened. But of course, that's because I didn't actually call that function yet. So let's make the teen talk, Winston teen.talk. Teens like to talk all the time. Okay, I'm Winston, ta-da, and then Winston adult.talk. Ta-da! All right, so now we have this Winston object type that has properties, nickname, age, x, y, and it has functionality, behaviors, methods that act differently depending on the properties. And we can create as many instances of Winstons as we want and call any of these methods on it. It's pretty cool, huh?